All right, hello, good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because today I got more than enough tabs to absolutely crash my computer. But today, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about today is we're talking about our goals, and our goals more specifically related to Yieldmax ETFs like YMAX, and then all the underlying holdings that I hold in my portfolio, like MSFO, MSTY, PYPY, SQY. Basically, I have these stock price charts of each one, and using my honorable investing tracking cash flow template, we're going to check over my goals, and I'm going to show you exactly what my intentions are. And as I build up my cash position, what I will be doing with that. So maybe it will give you ideas for your own portfolio. Of course, before I start, this is not financial advice, anything like that. I'm strictly just a guy on YouTube sharing my kind of journey, but you're absolutely invited along. Currently, we're up to 7,719 subscribers, 112 subscribers in the past 28 days. We're lagging out here, but we're doing fantastic at the same time. I am absolutely plugging my honorable investing tracking cash flow template. This is not up for sale yet, anything like that, but I just want to show you guys, this is what I'll be using in a lot of my videos, and I'm currently building this. As you can see here, it's kind of taken on more progress from the last one. You can track basically your monthly cash flow, and then as well year over year how much you invest and how much you earn in terms of dividend income if you're dividend if you are a dividend investor. As well, we have different portfolios that you can upload here. We have different weighted sectors that you could see, but then of course I'm continuing to build, and I'm currently working on my margin debt calculator to help you guys, if you do intend to use margin, how much margin you're using, how much it's charging you, and it all is kind of a template in order to keep track of your finances and your dividend investing. Something fun, but as mentioned by Dan Pino, one of my favorite kind of motivational guys, or he's, I wouldn't say motivational, but he basically says what gets measured gets accomplished. And I think that's absolutely true. And that's why I think it's absolutely necessary to keep track of your finances, whether it's with this template or whether it's on your own in your own investing portfolio. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the meat and beans of this video. I want to talk about our goals. Our goals for YMAX, as you can see right here, I'm going to bold this. Our goals for all the other Yieldmax investments, and then as well our goals for SPXL, which is our growth. Not our dividends, but our growth. So what I want to talk about here is I want to talk about how much cash I have. So I currently have about $8,000 to invest. This is completely straight up. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. I have $8,000 in cash. Every single, couple of weeks, I do work a full-time job, and so I'm earning an income on the side every single month from that. And that is my primary source of income. I currently have $8,000 that I could potentially use to put towards investments, but I'm building that up week over week. Now, with $8,000 said, I wanted to delegate a certain amount to each Yieldmax ETF that I own. I currently own 6 different Yieldmax individual ETFs, and then I own YMAX in both my margin and my Careful Cash account. YMAX is the only position in my Careful Cash account, and it is currently marketed at about $12,500 US. So just to put that in perspective. But basically, let's go over these goals. My first goal would be to buy SPXL at under $100 per share, and I'd likely use all my cash for that, and I'm going to get to why. So I'd use roughly about $8,000, but let's say I earn a couple more $1,000 this week or next week, then this will bump up to potentially $10,000, and then I'll be using $10,000. So you see, this is definitely subject to change, but it's important to have a plan in place, like I mentioned, and then you can always adjust it after. So going off the S&P 500 index, of course, we're not new to anything here. We have a potential downturn on the way, so I'm not necessarily looking to invest right this moment. I'll invest when I believe that the prices have kind of almost hit like new lows and there's potential for a rebound, something like that. I will be buying on the way down, but not as aggressive as when I feel we've hit the bottom. But I'll keep you guys posted. So with SPXL, I'd like to get a share price under $100 per share. I think this is totally achievable. If you look at the market over the past 5 years, we've had a pretty solid run. Just even going back to 2023, not even COVID, we still have roughly about a 20% correction. This is a very small market that the market has currently fallen, so I think $100 is absolutely doable. Next, we have YMAX. YMAX for my cash account, I'm always going to be buying. There's going to be no difference. Doesn't really matter the average share because I'm taking the dividends that I'm earning and I'm reinvesting them. So this $105 that I earned in terms of weekly dividend income from my Yieldmax position of 915 shares, I will just reinvest. That's the only plan for that one. But within my margin account, I will likely look to buy YMAX at under $12 per share. And currently, YMAX is at $13.50. I think it has big potential to get under there potentially. It's going to fall with the market, so keep an eye on YMAX. Next, we have SQY. For my Square position, this is where it starts to get interesting. I'm going to put $2,000 into Square potentially, but I like to get a share price under $10. Currently, we're very close to that. As you can see, $10.69. And as you guys look at the kind of the 1 year history, you say, wow, you want to buy something that's down 58% over the year. That sucks. Well, look, Block at the same time has had a huge downfall. Block itself in the past 3 months has gone down from over 100. It's gone down from roughly $99.44 to $55, roughly 45% drop. But over the past 5 years, they've had an amazing gain back in 2022, but they have so much potential. They are growing their revenue over not month over month, but quarter over quarter. And so I do believe that in time, they will return back to even levels as high as 185. And even then, that is a 3x return and hopefully a great return for SQY and great monthly income. SQY is also very similar. If I can find it, I have another one here, which is PYPY and PayPal. And the reason why I want to talk about these two together is they show very similar income patterns in terms of their underlying stocks. So PayPal as well, they had this huge run up. They are a company like Square, like Block. They are continuing to earn more and more. Even they are earning more in terms of quarterly revenue now than they were earning back in 2021 and 2022 when the share price was over $300. They are a $65 stock and they are continuing to earn more and more. We go to their earnings per share and it says 16. It's not crazy, but in my opinion, it's undervalued. And I will likely be buying the Yieldmax ETF for this, and I'll be buying, if we go here to PYPY, I'll be buying roughly about $1,500 worth, so a little bit less. That $1,500 should get me to my $300 unit share goal. I'm roughly about 75 shares away, so that's why I put it at $1,500, and I like to get an average share under $11.50. So if I go to PYPY, we still have a little bit of a ways to go for this one too. And of course, all these markers are kind of going off of how the underlying stock is performing. And so PayPal, I do believe, has probably a little bit more of a ways to go. It's currently reaching new lows, but if we go back here, potentially a low at about $55, $57 or so. And that's where I likely look to pick up a little bit more of PYPY. Now let's go to the next one, which is Nvidia and NVDY. And Nvidia over the past 3, 4, 5, 6 months has gone down from roughly a $150 stock to about $110. That's about a 25% to 30% decline. And I do think Nvidia, I'm sure you guys are very bullish on it too. I think it's great in the AI space. I do think it's still currently a little bit overvalued. And so my buyback price for this, I want to invest $2,000 on margin. You see, I'm investing $8,000 cash into SPXL, and all of these Yieldmax ETFs, because they return me income, I'm going to buy on margin. That's as well why I have this margin debt tracker here too. Buying NVDY on margin, I like to get a share price under $8, and I like to buy about 500 shares. $2,000 at $8 per share is not going to buy 500 shares, but it's a start. $8 per share for NVDY is going to be a huge marker. That means that Nvidia still has about a 50% drop to go from this point. And of course, with it being a very volatile stock, I think there's potential for that. This is a very kind of outlandish statement that I want to get it at $8 per share, which is roughly 50% down from where it currently is. But I do think it's possible, judging that we have supports here at $87. We have $75 and then potentially $45 if Nvidia was to really crash. So I'm being very bearish, but I want to see the absolute best prices that I can pick these up at. Moving to our next, we have MSTY. MSTY, likely I'd also put in about $2,000. You kind of see a trend here. And I'd like to pick it up for under $10 per share. So if I go to MSTR, we can see here that just even they reached a high of about $550. That was a huge day, but that's extremely, like, that's like an outlier day. I believe their real peak was about $450, kind of like a sustainable peak in that sense. So they are down roughly about 30%. And of course, the Yieldmax ETF has taken a hit from a year ago, not inception. Inception, they had a really big push right at the start. So if you were to have held MSTY, you're more than a total return since the beginning. But you can see they're back at $20 per share. I have a share price that I want to buy at $10. So definitely a long way still for this stock and Yieldmax ETF to potentially fall. It's very bearish, once again, like all my predictions. But imagine you can pick up MSTY, for example, at $10 per share. I think in turn, when the market does recover, because I do believe the market will recover, that the earnings that you could potentially earn from $2,000 invested in MSTY, or $2,000 invested in NVDY at these price points would be phenomenal. And so that's why I'm pushing. And then of course, all dividends would go and reinvest back into SPXL, where I could achieve really good growth. I think there's only about 2 more left to go. We have MSFO, which is Microsoft. And for Microsoft, let's see what we got here. MSFO, only $1,000 that I want to put in, and that would be at a $9 share price. MSFO is one of those ones, it's pretty stable, but it doesn't provide the most cash flow. And at the current moment, like, I'm trying to build up my cash flow, but I need to be very smart about it if I'm going to potentially be using margin. Of course, the one nice thing is I do have the dividends, which will be paying down the margin every single week and every single month. But as well, I will also have my full-time job, which I can use to mitigate my margin risk. Now, MSFO, I want to buy under $9 per share. Microsoft, kind of a staple company within a lot of people's portfolios. If I can go back to the full-time here, you could see it doesn't necessarily drop to a crazy amount. Back in 2020 or 2021, it dropped from about $350 to about $224. That's about a 33% drop, something like that. So I likely would expect it maybe to retract to about 250, something like that, if it was to be a full-blown recession. But with that being said, that's still about 30% to go. And so with that, I do think that we could potentially achieve that with our Yieldmax investment. That's, once again, very bearish, but that's kind of my plan. That would be the best case scenario. Babo is the last one, and I'd like to achieve an $18 per share basis. I'd only have to buy 6 shares, so I'm investing roughly about $175 into Babo, and that's because I only need 300 shares of Babo. It pays me a fantastic monthly dividend. I earn potentially anywhere between about $200 to about $500 per month just from Babo alone, because we made a stellar buy, which was roughly about 294 shares. I can keep track of everything. Yes, all in my little head. 294 shares right here at an average share price of $17.70. So this is the only Yieldmax position where we are still up, and it shows you the power of buying them at great prices, because Babo I bought way back when everything was down, when Alibaba was trading at about $85. I bought Babo when it was about $17.70, so an average share price right about here. And you could see I experienced all this upside, and the price is still above my average price, and I'm continuing to receive dividends and monthly income. That is the most ideal case scenario for these Yieldmax ETFs. And of course, that's what I'm planning to do with all of them. I did it with Babo, and now I'm looking to replicate it with SQY, PYPY, MSTY, etc. But as mentioned, that's why I have these very bearish and very low share price points. And it's so important to stay on top of the market and kind of see, okay, what are investors thinking? We only had this very small blip. This is the first time Yieldmax ETFs are going to be entering into a potential recession. And so it's very important to see how they react, see if any Yieldmax ETFs get too low that they have to stock split. So that's also something that I'm looking out for too. I'm really going to do my best to stay on this. I'm continuing to build this tracker, and I'm going to do my best to keep you guys posted with anything that I see with these Yieldmax ETFs. I hope you did enjoy going over my goals, because I find this very fun. It's very cool. If we can achieve these markers, we are going to in turn receive some amazing dividends. But at the same time, these markers are subject to grow. I could potentially be putting in $3,000 in SQY by the end of this month. It totally depends how much cash I can generate. More cash I could generate, the more margin I could potentially take on. But it's very important to be smart with this, because I need to watch how much buying power I currently have within my portfolio. With all of these ETFs, 2,000, that's 4,000. Now we have 6,000. Now we have 7,000, $8,500, about $8,800 or so. $8,800. We have a potential buying power about $15,000. So we're taking on a 50% of our total buying power. That leaves us with good room, but we have to be very careful because we do not want to get anywhere close to a margin call. So I will do my best to keep you guys posted. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please do remember to subscribe. We're up to 7,719 subscribers. Definitely a longer video, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys got some value out of this, and I really do hope that this can motivate you guys to set your own goals. I will keep you guys posted with this tracker. I will continue to work on it, and hopefully I can get it to you guys soon if anyone is potentially interested. So we will go from there. All right. Please do take care till next time, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.